Hi, welcome to the Curated Pages podcast.
Your place for curated reads, honest reviews, and thoughtful book talk. I'm Haley.
And I'm Adria. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and ring that bell to get notified when we post. Now, let's get into it. So, for a quick little update before we start the episode, we have announced our book club pick for the Mindful Moms Book Club. We are reading Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher.
So, a little bit about this book. When the king's young daughter, Snow, falls mysteriously ill from what appears to be poison, a healer named Anja, is that how you think you say it? Anja?
I think so.
Hey, editing Adria here. It's Anya. I don't know where we got Anja from, but I looked it up after. It's Anya.
A healer named Anja is summoned to the court to save her. But this is no ordinary sickness and no ordinary kingdom. As Anja works to uncover what's harming the princess, she's pulled into a world filled with dark magic, unsettling secrets, and a mirror that seems to hold a dangerous power all of its own. The deeper she digs, the more she realizes that whatever is threatening Snow may be far more sinister and far more deeply rooted than anyone is willing to admit. Blending elements of Snow White with a darker, more haunting twist, Hemlock and Silver reimagines a familiar story through the lens of mystery, magic, and some creeping unease. Yeah, not my normal read, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to try and read this one.
Same. I was a little hesitant, but I had it on my shelf, so I'm ready to read it.
It sounds good.
So, after that quick little update, it is time for our current reads. We are both reading the same book. I actually just finished it right before recording, but we're reading the same book right now. It
Again.
is Anxious People by Fredrik Backman. So, for a quick synopsis of Anxious People, this is about a failed bank robber walks into an apartment open house and accidentally takes a group of strangers hostage. What follows isn't a typical crime story. It's deeply human, often funny, and quietly heartbreaking, looking at a group of people who have more in common than they realize. As the situation unfolds, the story jumps between police interviews and the perspectives of each hostage, slowly revealing their personal struggles, regrets, and hidden connections. Through miscommunication, awkwardness, and unexpected vulnerability, the novel explores anxiety, forgiveness, parenthood, love, and the messy ways we try, and often fail, to hold our lives together. At its core, Anxious People is less about the crime itself and more about the invisible battles people are fighting every day, and how even the most unlikely moments can bring understanding, grace, and connection. So, Haley, what do you think of it so far?
So I'm only about halfway. I know you said you finished today. I'm still only about halfway. I did not have time to read today. So I'm still about halfway through Anxious People. And I want to start by saying the writing style is different. It's noticeably different than any other book that I've read. It jumps around, circles back, feels kind of chaotic at times, but in a way that it somehow works. It's one of those things where if you've read it, you understand what I'm saying. But if you haven't, I would sound slightly unhinged trying to explain how this writing style is. Because it's so different. At this point, I feel like I might know where the story is heading, but only time will tell if I'm right. I already shared my thoughts with Adria, so she knows if I'm right or not because she finished it. But what's really pulling me in is how all the characters are slowly connecting with each other and they don't even realize it. It's giving me subtle Crash vibes, movie Crash. Not in like a heavy way, but in that layered, everyone's story overlaps more than you think kind of way. So far, it's thoughtful, it's a little chaotic, it's surprisingly funny, and it's very, very human. It's definitely a good read so far, and I'm curious to see how it all comes together.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking when I was at that point in the book. It feels like it makes no sense. So, for my honest opinions, all of the characters in this, except for like maybe one of them, were just infuriating to read about. They just, a lot of them were being really idiotic, like playing dumb, but also just their personalities and the way they talk just is ridiculous. And for about the first three quarters of the book, I was struggling to want to read it. My biggest motivation was finishing it so I could read a different book. um, then I got to the three quarters marks and it picked up the pace. There were some twists that happened and it was pretty good. And then the last few chapters, it felt slow again. And it was just like, come on, let's finish already. I felt like I would read five chapters and then would just feel so mentally exhausted after trying to follow these people. They were just frustrating. Despite this, I think it's a good book. I think it's very well written and the characters are very full developed. None of them felt flat. And like you said, the writing style is very unique. It feels like it's a mix of third person and second person, which I haven't really seen before, but it was very interesting. It was this writing that jumps around in the timeline frequently, and it was really interesting. Like, the characters are frustrating, but it was well written in a way that you weirdly kind of like the story, even though they're really annoying. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
totally get that. They were frustrating. I feel like it's just like, this is how you act. And I'm the same way. This book has been, I don't want to say hard for me to read, but like it hasn't been like my other books where I want to read it and I want to like read it all the time. This one I am pushing through, like you said, because I want to get to my next book. I want to read that next book. So I'm like, I need to finish this book so I can start my next book. So I'm trying really hard to finish it, even though, like you said, it's hard. Like you read a couple chapters and then you're just like mentally like, oh, I need a break from these people.
Yes, the whole time you're reading, you're like, this is how you act when you're at an apartment viewing? This is how you act when you're being interviewed by the police? What are you doing?
They are bananas. Moving into our book reviews, we kept it to more of like our typical reads this time because I feel like we've been a little bit all over the place with our reviews and whatnot. So I picked a thriller. I picked The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. So, a little bit about this book. 15 years ago, Emma Davis attended a summer art camp where her three cabin mates vanished in the middle of the night, leaving behind nothing but a mysterious message: "You won't find me." Emma was the last person to see them alive, and the case was never solved. Now an adult and a rising artist herself, Emma is invited back to the same camp, but this time as an instructor. Determined to uncover the truth about what really happened that night, she returns to the place that's haunted her for years. But as Emma digs deeper, the lines between past and present begin to blur. Strange events start happening again. Secrets start to surface, and it becomes clear that someone knows more than what they're saying and may be willing to do anything to keep the truth buried. The Last Time I Lied is a suspenseful, twist filled thriller about memory, deception, and the stories we tell ourselves to survive. So, this was my very first Riley Sager book. And it honestly kicked off my obsession with him. I have read every single book he's written so far. But I think this one holds a special place in my heart because it was my very first book of his that I read. It is mostly probably because it was an introduction to his writing style, but also because it's just that good. The setting alone sold me. It's a summer camp deep in the woods with that immediate eerie, something's not right here feeling. It gives you that classic creepy camp vibe right from the start, and it doesn't let up. It's one of those books where the atmosphere does half the work for it. You feel on edge the whole time. I remember being completely pulled into the mystery and constantly second guessing what actually happened. It's twisty without feeling overly done, and it keeps you hooked in that just one more chapter. And I finished it really quickly because it was just that good and I didn't want to put it down. Looking back, this book made me realize how much I love thrillers in an isolated setting. Give me woods, secrets, missing people, and I'm in. It actually reminded me of The Shining in a sense. Not in the plot at all, but in the same eerie, isolated, something's off atmosphere, and The Shining is one of my favorite books. If you're new to Riley Sager, this is a really good place to start, and this was an easy 5 stars for me.
That sounds really interesting. I might have to pick that up because I read his book, The Only One Left, and I enjoyed it. So if this one's even better than that, I might have to read it and see.
I feel like I sent it to you. I don't know if there's 8 or 9 books he has out, and I enjoyed the last one, The Only One Left, but that one's lower on my list. This one's like number 1, number 2. This one's high up on my list of my favorite of his books. All right, so what book did you bring to review?
So I brought The Throne of Glass, like the entire series. I just grabbed the last book because it was easiest. I have a stack right there, and I was not going to grab the bottom one. So I grabbed the top one, which was the last book. So this one, I just grabbed the synopsis online to read out because I feel like I didn't even know how to describe it. There's just so much. So I made it easy on myself. It says, in a land without magic, where the king rules with an iron hand, an assassin is summoned to the castle. She comes not to kill the king, but to win her freedom. If she defeats 23 killers, thieves, and warriors in a competition, she is released from prison to serve as the king's champion. Her name is Selena Sardathian. The crown prince will provoke her. The captain of the guard will protect her, but something evil dwells in the castle of glass, and it's there to kill. When her competitors start dying one by one, Selena's fight for freedom becomes a fight for survival, and a desperate quest to root out the evil before it destroys her world. So with this one, there's literally a castle made of glass that the king lives in, and that's where she's staying. It's this trials thing in the first book. It's really, really good. The whole series was absolutely fantastic to me. There's various reading orders. I read it in the romantic reading order, which has The Assassin's Blade, which is like the prequel, as the 4th book. And I also did the tandem read for Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. So that's just like a background of how I read it, because sometimes that impacts people's views of the books. I thought it was amazing. There are so many twists throughout the series and so much emotion. I cried many times reading it, especially during the last book. It has a lot of political drama, emotions, and action, which is exactly what I love in my favorite fantasy books. I rated the first book a 4-star, the last one a 5-star, and I had an overall average rating of about 4.25, 4.5 stars for the entire series. It was so good.
It sounds good, and that is one that you've kind of convinced me to read. So I do want to attempt to read Throne of Glass at some point. I don't know when, but at some point. Because I have a lot of people who read A Court of Thorns and Roses and absolutely love it. And I don't know. I'm going to read one of them. I don't know which one, but I'll read one of them.
In my opinion, Throne of Glass is way better than ACOTAR. It feels more like a fantasy book and less like romantasy. I liked it a lot more. It's a longer series too, which I also enjoy. So I think it's like 8 books. So
I know you like your long series.
And this last one is chunky. It's almost 1,000 pages.
Dang.
So if you decide to read it, 980. So if you decide to read it, it's a commitment.
That's a big book.
Just so you know. Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
So now on to our discussion section. This week we're discussing how we choose our next reads. So let's get into it. So our very first discussion question is, are you a planner with a TBR list, or are you a mood reader, or something in between?
For me, I have my books planned out for this month, and I think this podcast has really helped me plan out what books I want to read. But normally, I am a mood reader. I finish a book, I look at my TBR list, I start reading synopsises of different books depending on the mood I'm in. Do I want to read another thriller? Do I want to kind of like take a break from thriller and read more of just like a fiction book or like a rom-com romancy book? It just kind of depends what mood or vibe I'm looking for, and I pick based off that. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I have put this one on my TBR list like last year. Let's try that one. But I don't really have, I feel like, a rhyme or reason on the books that I pick. What about you? How do you pick your books?
So I'm a mix of both. I have my monthly TBR that I do with my TBR jar, but I don't always stick to it. I get about 50% to 75% most of the time. I think only one time I've ever done the full TBR jar, and it's only 4 books. I'll read kind of off of there because I pick it when I'm in the mood for that book, but then by the time I actually go to read the book, I'm no longer in the mood for it, so I don't read it and I read
I
something
get that.
else. So I'm a mood reader who's trying to be more of a planner, and it's not working sometimes.
Fair.
I think this month I'll do it though. I think I will. I hope I will.
Like I said, I have mine planned. I have 4 books. I read 4 books last month. That's a lot for me in a month. And I have 4 books again this month. So we will see if I succeed. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I have 4 books this month. And this is, like I said, this is like the first time I've like really planned out my reads. And like it makes me excited because I know what books I have coming up to read. And it's making this anxious people easier to get through because I'm like, want to get to my next book.
Yeah, I've got 4 books on my TBR plus the book club pick. And then I have one that I am starting. It's When He Was Wicked. It's a Bridgerton book. It's the 6th one.
Okay.
So maybe 6 books this month. We'll see.
Dang. Where do you find most of your book recommendations? Do you get them from friends, BookTok, Goodreads, the book club book? Where do you normally get your book recommendations?
So for me, it's a mix. Lately, it's been a lot from you. um, but then there's this girl I follow on YouTube. Her name's Jamie Folk. I don't know how to say her last name. FOK. But she's really great. And I think most of the books that she likes, I end up liking too. So I get a lot of my books from her. Um, some very, very occasionally BookTok, but I don't trust BookTok. I've been recommended a lot of bad books on BookTok. So I don't trust it. What about you?
So for me, I'm on Goodreads and I have quite a few friends on there too. And they'll mark books that they want to read and I'll see it on the feed. And so then I'll look like, ooh, well, what book's that? And then I read about it. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. And I add it to my TBR too. So I guess kind of friend recommendations from Goodreads. And then like you've been recommending some books for me. But I honestly don't think I've, unless you count like Fourth Wing. I don't know if Fourth Wing's technically BookTok, but I don't know if I've read any books as like a recommendation from BookTok.
I I don't remember which ones, but a lot of ones on BookTok are romantasy, and I don't like romantasy anymore. It's just I read enough of it that I'm just done with it. So
And,
I can't get BookTok recommendations.
and maybe that's why I never like go towards them because it seems like they're more that genre, which is not what I normally like to read. So that could be why I avoid BookTok recommendations.
So this next one is, do covers or titles influence you more than you'd like to admit?
Yes. I'm not, I think I already said this maybe on like the first episode or second episode. Dungeon Crawler Carl, not a book I would even want to read, but they were laid out in my Barnes and Noble and the whole series, I think all 7 books that are out. And I go, those are so like they're neon colors. Those are so pretty. I want to read those. And I figured out which one was the first book, read the synopsis of it, and I was like, not my normal read, but that sounds good. Let's try it because these covers are speaking to me. And I feel like if a cover is pretty, I do pick it up and read what the synopsis is about. So titles and covers definitely influence me from time to time. What about you? Do they influence you at all?
Yeah, a bit. It's like when a cover's ugly or if it looks like a standard romantasy cover, I won't pick it up. I won't even read the synopsis. And if it's got an interesting title and the cover's like weird, I'll maybe pick it up. But if it sounds like a romantic, again, I hate on romantasy a lot, but I just don't like it anymore. If it sounds like a blank of blank and blank, like A Court of Thorns and Roses or something like that, I just won't even look at it. um, there's also Brandon Sanderson. I immediately buy it. I didn't even read the synopsis for Tailored Realities. I just picked it up because it had him on he was the author, so I just picked it up. Or there's random things where if it's got a pretty cover, I know I want to display it, so I've got books that face forward instead of the spine because they're pretty.
Author wise, I'm like that with Riley Sager. Once I started, I think I read maybe like 3 or 4 of his. And after that, I was just like, I'm reading all of them. And he has a new book coming out, I think, in September. No clue what it's even about, but I will read it. Like I said, I won't even read what it's about. I'm just going to read it because I like him as an author. So if it's by him, I'm going to read it. All right, for our next question, we have what is an instant yes, I am reading this for you? Or on the flip side of that, what is an automatic no or red flag for you in a book?
So for me, obviously, I just said it, but Brandon Sanderson, yes, I'm gonna read it. Um, but there's other things like if it's fantasy and it has a bunch of good ratings, and if people on YouTube that I trust with book recommendations are recommending it, saying it's really good, automatic yes. For an automatic no, it's when the book is super overly political, like shoving the author's opinions in your face. Like, I don't like that because I have my own beliefs and I don't like being told what to believe by somebody I don't even know. And it just frustrates me. Like, it will make me DNF a book, even if everything else is great. If it starts off with making jokes about one side or the other, I will DNF it because I don't like that.
I get that. I like read books to escape like what's happening in the world. So it's like I don't need to read about political viewpoints and whatnot. Like I'm with you there. And I kind of already said too, if it's a Riley Sager book, I'm 1000% reading it. It's an automatic yes for me, whether I know what it's about or not. I'm reading it, and like automatic no's for me have always been like the romantasy or even just fantasy. I'm not big into romance or fantasy, and that's what I feel like what a lot of my friends read. They read romantasy, and just not my thing. So those are usually like automatic no's. But like I said, I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone a little bit, and I do want to try and read one of those series. So we'll see how I feel about it and if maybe I change my mind on fantasy because I do really enjoy Dungeon Crawler Carl and I feel like that leads more fantasy than sci-fi in my mind because like the whole dungeon aspect is very fantasy forward in my opinion. The only sci-fi element I feel like there is that Earth got taken over by aliens and they're talking about different galaxies and different planets and galaxies far away. That's like the only really sci-fi element that I get from Dungeon Crawler Carl. Otherwise, it's more fantasy. And I like it. So maybe as long as it's not romantasy, I would like fantasy.
I think there's also the advanced technology that's sci-fi.
That's true.
So it's like it's a blend of sci-fi and fantasy, I feel like. And you've convinced me about thrillers, so hopefully I can convince you about fantasy.
Yes. That's what I'm willing to try.
So, last question. What makes you pick one book over another when your TBR is full?
I feel like my TBR list is never full. I'm constantly adding to it. I feel like I have over 100 books on my TBR list, whether I will get to them and read them all or not. They're there. When I have friends that finish a book on Goodreads or mark they want to read it on Goodreads, like I said, I read the synopsis and I'm like, ooh, yeah, that sounds good. I'm adding it to mine. So I don't really know how to answer that because I feel like my TBR list is never complete. I'm always adding to it. But what about you? How do you pick a book when your TBR list is full?
Yeah, with mine, with my TBR list, I just about every half a year or so, I go through my list on Fable and I just clear out the books I don't want anymore. It's I get very annoyed if it's super full because then it's hard to pick. So for me, when I like complete my monthly TBR, is that what you mean with that question? Like if you complete your TBR, or
Oh,
because you said like yours is never full, but you have over 100 books, so I'd say that's full. So I think we have different definitions of what we mean there.
that is true. I don't do like a TBR usually like month to month. This is just like a lifelong list I have going. So in my mind, a TBR list is just like books I'd like to read in my lifetime. Doesn't need to be this month or next month. So I guess that's where I'm kind of coming from. But I don't know how I'd choose month to month either on a with my TBR list. Like how I'd choose one book over another. I guess however I'm feeling. If I have two books and I know I can only read one, I'd probably go for the one that sounds more interesting or whatever kind of mood or vibe I'm in, I would go more towards that. Like if I wanted more of a thriller, I'll pick one that's a little more action packed. If I kind of thrillered out or just need a change, I would pick something a little bit slower in a sense.
For me, when I can't decide between books, because I've got a decent sized TBR, like I've got plenty of books to read. When I can't decide, I like to read the first few lines or the first chapter of the book, and whichever one grabs my attention more is the one that I read. So it's taken some trial and error. Sometimes I can just pick a book. I don't know how, but I'm just like, ooh, that sounds interesting. I'm going to read that next. Sometimes I can't do that and I can't decide. So I open up the book and I read the first few lines and compare it to the other book. And then whichever one actually grabs my attention is the one that I read. So it's been fun doing it that way.
That's interesting. I never thought to like, I feel like once I start a book, that's just the book that I read. I don't usually DNF a book. It takes, I feel like, a lot for me to not finish a book. Like once I start a book, I'm going to finish it. So I feel like that is a different way to do it. That maybe when I am between a couple books, I could read the first chapter or so, but I just feel like once I start a book, I'm just like, I'm just going to finish it at this point.
Yeah, I'm actually all right DNFing. And if I really don't like it, I will go and donate it because I don't even want the book. Like I've got a pile on top of my microwave, I think about 7 books over there that I'm getting rid of because I don't want them. Because I read a little bit. I'm like, nah, not worth my time. I'm done.
Dang.
I'm vicious sometimes. Okay, so before we wrap up the episode, we wanted to do something fun with each other where we pick the next book that we read. So the book that I chose for Haley is The Names by Florence Knapp. It is so good. I read this one at the start of this year and I was absolutely just blown away. This follows the story of a family through 3 alternate timelines. It shows how the choice of a baby's name can completely alter his life. There are 3 possible names: Bear, which is the young daughter's choice, Julian, which is the mom's choice, and Gordon, which is the choice of her abusive husband, which is named after himself because it's a family tradition. We see this boy's life in 7-year increments with each name choice, and it is absolutely fascinating to see his personality, the way their family dynamics are changed, and everything that happens. I cried, I laughed, and I felt so immersed in the story. I think you would just absolutely love this one, Haley.
I am super excited to read this book. And when I saw the cover, again, this is one that I would read just based off the cover because the cover is so pretty. I think it is gorgeous with the flowers. Like, I would read it based on just the cover. So I'm super excited to read this. And I love alternate timelines. So this is like right up my alley. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I kind of picked it up because I was like, oh, that's really pretty.
It's a pretty cover.
So,
The book I chose for you is The Girl I Was by Jeneva Rose. This I read at the end of last year, and it's honestly one of my favorite books that I've read recently. It really made me stop and think about my own life, and if I was given a chance to change anything about my past, like, would I do it? So the book is about self-reflection, and it just really stuck with me after reading it. So a little bit about the book. Alexis Spencer is unhappy with the life she's built, convinced that everything wrong with her present can be traced back to the choices she made when she was younger. She's unexpectedly given the chance to go back in time and confront her teenage self. She sees this as a perfect opportunity to fix everything. Determined to change the course of her life, Alexis sets out to guide her younger self towards better decisions, hoping it will lead to the future that she's always wanted. But the more time she spends in the past, the more complicated things become. She begins to realize that changing a few key moments might not be enough, and that the real problem may not be her past at all. As Alexis faces both versions of herself, she's forced to confront a difficult truth about regret, responsibility, and what it takes to create a life that you're really happy with. I read this book in 2 days, so I'm sure you will read it in like less than a day.
I think books with character analysis are really cool. And then, especially with the going back in time element with her past self, that just, I feel like that could be really interesting. I'm excited to read that.
Yeah, and I like the fact that she goes back, but it's not like me going back in time and then now living my life. She's going back in time and her younger self is still there. So there's two Alexises in the same timeline. And it's a different way to do that type of book, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And that is all the time we have for today. Thank you for listening to the Curated Pages podcast.
If you liked today's episode, be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Until next time.
Stay lost in the pages. Bye.
Bye.